thinking about learning organizations, what is a learning organization? How would you define it?
I would say it's an organization where both learning and knowledge is valued as an asset of the organization, and that there are structures in place that ensure that the learning and the knowledge is enhanced.
Hi and welcome to Learning Insider. Today we have a super interesting guest, Inkeri, talking about learning organizations. Welcome, Inkeri.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Would you like to tell us a little about yourself?
Great. So I'm Inkeri Lönnrot, and I currently work as a learning and development partner at Kuulas Co.
Mm-hmm.
And what we do at Kuulas Co is, as work is changing and it's accelerated by AI, and we need to keep learning new things all the time. And then again, there is the contradiction that we don't necessarily have as much time for learning as we used to have.
Yeah.
That's what we want to help address in organizations when people don't necessarily have a clear idea of what they should be learning, what they should prioritize, or organizations don't know how they can support their employees to learn more effectively or faster, or how they can ensure that their employees are learning something that makes sense or is important for the organization. So that's what we're trying to support at Kuulas Co. by helping organizations build learning infrastructures that support this kind of continuous learning.
That's a big challenge and super interesting work.
It is challenging, but really interesting. And at the same time, we also lead a network called Skille.
Mm-hmm.
And Skille brings together companies and other organizations to kind of share practices, what they are doing in their organization to support learning and lead learning. So and it's kind of a unique network because it brings together companies, the public sector, and academia to share their experiences and practices. So in that sense, it's something quite unique. Yeah.
Very important learning network.
Yeah.
And how did you get interested about these topics of learning and how organizations learn? What is the story behind this?
I'm not cutting the story short. So I started as a teacher. I studied to become a teacher, and then I also did another degree on education and international development. So essentially education policy in developing countries. Yeah. So that's how I ended up first working at the NGO sector and on education related projects. And I think I was always interested in kind of continuous improvement. Yeah. Both improving myself every day, but also how organizations can fix things one by one to kind of improve all the time. Yeah. And I think especially in the NGO sector, there's a lot of attention that always goes to monitoring, so understanding how our projects are doing, is the funding going to the right place, and is it effective and efficient? Yeah. So that's how I ended up working in monitoring and evaluation, focusing on that.
So monitoring the impact of the actions taken and
and just the projects themselves. Yeah. So how projects are going basically, and then what effect the projects are having on the beneficiaries. So are we making a change, and what is working well, and could we focus on that, and so on. And that's how I ended up in the humanitarian sector, working in a large humanitarian organization that delivered food assistance to emergencies and and other areas where there are people who are the most vulnerable. So they're focusing on monitoring and evaluation. Then the focus was a lot on data and collecting data from our operations, interviewing beneficiaries, asking them how they are doing, how they are using our assistance, and then of course also the use of data. So ensuring that whatever data we have on our operations, that then it gets used and we learn from it, and we continuously improve from that. So that is also continuous learning and organizational learning in that sense.
Super interesting. It's creating impact where it matters most.
At the same time, also I was focusing a lot on developing e-learnings, training our employees on these topics. That's actually where I somehow realized how interesting that area of work is. When you might have target audience that is in 80 plus countries, sometimes in really remote locations where they might not even have proper internet access. And then again, this contradiction that we need to keep learning all the time. It's an endless number of skills that we need to develop. So then how do you make those decisions, what to prioritize, and what kind of learning methods work best in what context and culture and so on. So that's how I ended up in focusing more on the learning kind of L&D side, learning and development side. Then at some point I kind of accidentally or by chance I ended up in knowledge management, which was also a lucky accident in a way that it's also a very interesting area. It kind of brings together the dots on different topics. You somehow change the way you work or you think about things. You always start by asking yourself, what do we as an organization already know about this topic? Or has someone done this before? And who is the person who knows a lot about this? And where can we source this information? Or what do we need to learn in order to do this thing? And also how, when people have a lot of tacit knowledge in their head, how do we ensure that that gets transferred to other people in the organization? And these kind of questions that help to bring a lot of things together, connect the dots.
So you're combining the data and learning and the organizational goals and impact in a very, very interesting way.
Super. I would say so. So that's how I ended up in knowledge management, and then from there I continued now to Kuulas Co, where I've been for the past year now, kind of working on similar things. But again, from a slightly different angle now as a consultant to various organizations, and not working inside one organization only.
That's super fascinating. And how do you develop your own skills? What are the methods you like to apply to your own development?
I love formal learning, so I love to take different courses, whether it's a university course or some other course, and whenever I have the chance to do something like that, I really make the most of it. I'm also now on a business-related course that is taking 6 months, kind of by the side of the work, and being able to apply whatever I'm learning to the work, and it's a really nice hands-on course. But then I think now as an entrepreneur, I think that's my main learning goal at the moment, just to learn how to be an entrepreneur and learn by doing, kind of understanding what my next learning goal is, and then learning about it to be able to do it. So, and I think that's what I also really love about being an entrepreneur, because it's an endless amount of things that you're learning all the time, and I feel like I can give everything I have. And I'm also learning a lot from my colleague Elina Pilantie, who's the CEO and founder of Kuulas Co.
Yeah.
So she's kind of my mentor at the same time, and and of course AI is helping a lot in any learning these days. So it's making learning a lot faster in some way. Though also AI itself is an endless topic to learn about.
Yeah.
So also a challenge.
So it's a very good learning journey you're on right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think being an entrepreneur is something that if you want to learn a lot and make the most of yourself, you should do it.
It's amazing. Thinking about learning organizations, what is a learning organization? How would you define it?
Yeah, I think there are many ways to describe it. I would say it's an organization where both learning and knowledge is valued as an asset of the organization, and that there are structures in place that ensure that the learning and the knowledge is enhanced. So, and I think there are different levels in which learning happens in a learning organization. So it happens at individual level, of course. So every employee is learning, but then also it happens at the team level. So teams are learning as a unit. Then at the organizational level, so teams are sharing their learning and knowledge with each other. And also that learning is linked to the organization's strategic objectives. So it's not just learning random things, but learning what is important for the organization. And
so there's the impact perspective that has been very central for you.
Yeah. And also it would be good if learning is happening also outside the organization, so with external networks. So we are learning from learning with or learning from our partners, and we are learning from our clients, our beneficiaries, or with them. So those are some aspects of learning organizations.
So you could kind of summarize it as a learning organization is an organization that is consciously focusing on increasing the knowledge capital of the organization in multiple levels.
Also, learning and knowledge is not so dependent on one person in learning organizations. So if a person leaves, then
the knowledge kind of stays in the organization.
So the organization is not so much in trouble if one person leaves. So we often talk about 30 to 50% of an employee's knowledge, kind of work-related knowledge, is unique to that person. So that means that if 50% of your knowledge about your work is unique, then it means that 50% of the knowledge disappears when you leave. But
that's a lot.
That's a lot. And that's and of course it increases the longer you stay in the organization. So it's a big loss, and it makes things difficult if we rely heavily on one person. For example, if you had a colleague who is, let's say, very good at his job, and everyone goes to that person and knows that he can solve these things, and then
the go-to guy for whatever software or process.
Exactly. And then somehow things get piled up, and then processes are slowing down, and because that one person cannot deliver as fast. But then also sometimes people are not willing to share the knowledge or expertise they have if they are afraid that their job might get kind of transferred to someone else. So in learning organizations, this kind of situation should not take place.
Yeah.
But it should be safe for people to always transfer their expertise
their knowledge,
and train others, share their knowledge. Or what I maybe wanted to add to the previous point about when people have 30 to 50% of their knowledge that is unique to them, then maybe learning organizations are that percentage can be less. So we are aiming to make organizations that have less unique knowledge of their employees. So maybe 20 to 30%. Of course, there will always be some unique knowledge, but it can be reduced if there's a lot of knowledge sharing and a lot of training others, learning from others, and learning together. So that's maybe where they differ.
So increasing the knowledge transfer from individual employees to the team and organization level.
Yeah, exactly. And also maybe it's good to, because when you talk about learning, learning is a big concept. So sometimes you can also differentiate two types of learning. One is more, let's say, operational type of learning, and then the other is more strategic.
Yeah.
So the operational is more focusing on the must-haves or the day-to-day operations. So what do we need to learn as, let's say, a new employee? If you come to the organization, what are the basic must-have operational skills that you need to do the job? And also that relates to maybe the day-to-day learning from our clients, for example. If there is a complaint from a client, then you want to understand where that complaint comes from, how to fix it. You learn how to fix it, and then you ensure that it never happens again. So you train your employees to be better at that in that area. So that's more operational. But then there is the more strategic one, which is they can look at 5 to 10 years from now. How is our environment going to change? How will that affect our industry? And then how can we develop our skills so that when the change happens, we are already ready. So we are not kind of just passively waiting for the change to happen and then learn as it happens, but we learn proactively to be kind of ahead of others before the change happens. So maybe in this we often use the example of Netflix. That used to be a DVD by mail delivery organization or company, and they were already successful at that. But then they were forward looking, and then they realized that streaming services are the future, and then they systematically and very determinedly started developing those kind of skills within their organization to build that service, and then they become the industry leader for that.
That's a very concrete example.
Yeah, it's another one that is often used in many contexts. But
so you kind of have to balance between the two different time scales, like the current, what is happening right now, how do we deliver results right now, and what is this quarter and this financial year, and then I can also be prepared to the future and build for the future.
Exactly. And that is also a very tricky part, how to balance that, ensure that what you're doing now is also maintains the good quality, but then how do you also focus the resources for the future, especially now that a lot of resources are being cut. How do you balance that?
So when organizations are getting it right, when they're finding the right balance, what are the things that learning organizations can achieve? Why does it matter to put resources to learning also in the long term?
I think they can achieve great things. for example, this example of Netflix or we talk about big companies when we describe these kind of processes that some organizations have taken place. In Finland, we often use examples like DNA or Wärtsilä Energy. These have been described in the book Human-Centered Strategy by Paula Kilpinen, which is often what we refer to. But these examples show how organizations can, if they are determined to become better than others in some area, they have prioritized some specific capabilities that they want to be good at, that they are already good at, and they want to enhance it, or that they want to be good at in the future. And then they have become successful at that. Sometimes industry leaders like Wärtsilä Energy in sustainable energy, they became an important leader. I think learning organizations can develop great people as well. So ideally, when you enter an organization and then it helps you develop into the directions that you want to develop, or so ideally these kind of learning organizations are kind of hubs of capabilities where you enter, and then you can access all the learning and knowledge that has been in that organization, and then it can make you a very kind of different person in the end.
So there are two very important levels. So there's the strategic level of being able to build the future instead of just reacting to the future. And then also the human level of building engaging workplaces and meaningful careers and enabling people to advance and learn.
Absolutely, it can really increase people's motivation to work if they have a clear goal, what they should develop themselves into, or what kind of skills they should develop, and if they are given the opportunities to do that, and if there is a safe environment where you can try new things and pilot, and that you feel like you are part of the organization, that you belong to the organization.
It probably also makes the experience at the organization more meaningful when you feel that you're advancing and developing.
Absolutely. We work 8 hours per day, 5 days a week. It's a lot of time that we dedicate to our work. So making it more meaningful and more motivating and more engaging, that would be a great improvement, I think, in many ways. And I think what we are seeing in the statistics these days is that employee engagement is going down more and more, and I don't know where that comes from. We already have all the kind of means to improve it. We know what can improve it, and we know how it could be done, but now it's not happening.
So how does one build a learning organization? How to build a learning organization then? It sounds super meaningful, but how difficult it is to do one, or what are the key things to focus on?
I think it starts from the kind of linking learning to the business goals. So having clear understanding of the priorities, what direction we want to go as an organization, and that it shouldn't be too many. It has to be, I don't know, to me, 4 or 5 is a good amount, or an amount of high level objectives that people can keep in their head.
So it starts with a strategic clarity on, well, what is our focus, where do we want to go? And then ensuring that it's not just at the high level talks, but it's something that every employee down to the very lowest level or customer facing level understands what those priorities are, and that they own them, so that they kind of agree with them, that it's not just some
strategy speech that
Yeah.
that is not meaningful, but it's something that they can relate to,
Yeah.
and that they understand how their work contributes to that. So it has to be
Internalized throughout the organization, and there has to be kind of shared understanding and shared reality on those.
Yeah, and it often happens through team supervisors who are often the kind of messengers who have the everyday interaction with their teams, and who can make those strategic objectives their team objectives, so their team deliverables, and explain how they are linked, and then how they can support their team members to develop those skills that are needed to achieve. So that's the part of the kind of learning infrastructure that we often talk about. So a part of that, the first part of that is those goals at the high level. Then you need the structures and practices that support the learning, so that support that employees can continuously develop towards those priorities. We often also talk about capabilities. Is the term that we use as a kind of linkage between strategy and then the skills that need to be developed.
Yeah.
And capability is a nice term because it combines not only the skills but also what processes and tools, data, and systems are in place or you want to have in place in the organization.
Yeah.
Then what comes to the learning practices and structures, so it depends on the organization what works, what kind of organization it is. But so first of all you need the learning content that is somewhere. Maybe some organizations have academies or of course learning management systems. Yeah. And also knowledge platforms, so where you have all your guidance in the same place, and then it's constantly updated, and then everyone can access it easily, whatever they are looking for. And now of course AI is helping a lot in that. And then the continuous learning structures in your teams. So maybe you have regular retrospectives with your team to reflect on what we have learned as a team in this past month or after this project, and how do we then take those learnings to the next project. Or you have some kind of knowledge sharing platforms, maybe some regular meetings where teams share knowledge with each other, some kind of recent learnings, or someone can train others on a skill that they don't have. That is important. Our communities of practice are one practical method that or practice that is used in many organizations, where it helps to kind of break silos between different teams, because you focus on a specific topic of interest. Let's say it could be learning how to use AI on, I don't know, creating better visual presentations, something like this. And then there are many people who are interested in the same topic, and then they come together to learn more about it as a community. And then those communities are also great in discovering some kind of pockets of expertise in the organization where it's already happening and it's working well, and then bringing it to the community so that everyone else can do the same, replicate it in the organization.
So it's kind of a combination of technology and processes and communities and communications.
Yeah, exactly.
It sounds very thorough.
Yeah. So your question was how do you build a learning...
How do you build a learning organization?
Yeah.
Or what are the practical processes to put in place to facilitate one?
Yeah. So I think those are some good ones to start with. And then of course having the psychological safety in teams, so that these kind of things can take place. Because otherwise people are afraid of trying new things or sharing their knowledge, or even taking ownership of these kind of things like communities of practice. If you feel like you might do something wrong, that you will be punished for, then you will not want to lead a community like that. But it has to be that kind of communities where what's important in them is that it's led by the community. So you don't need to have a kind of high-level person in that community. Of course, it would be good if there's a sponsor from the management who kind of thinks that topic is linked to the strategic priorities and sees the importance of it, so they can help develop it as well. But they shouldn't kind of direct too much what the community should focus on, but it should be based on the interest.
So it's a delicate balance between the management and also the communities that are more self-driven.
Yeah, all learning organizations, it needs to be also balanced, because there are employees who are individuals and they have their own career aspirations, and of course we cannot stop them from learning things that are important to them, even if it's not something that is directly relevant for the strategy. But so they can learn both. They can learn things that are strategic, but also things that are of interest to themselves. But then they have to manage their own time.
And taking just a random organization, how do you transfer an existing organization with established culture and established processes into a learning one? I think this is a question that many leaders are thinking right now. Or is it even possible? How do you drive an organizational transformation like that?
Yeah, I think in every organization there is already kind of parts of it that are already happening. So that's what we always look at first. So what are the structures that you already have for learning, and what is working well for you, and what are things that you have tried but didn't work. Maybe there have been some mentoring programs that have been tried in the past, but for some reason they didn't work. Maybe it was not interesting enough, or there have been learning management systems that no one has been using, or so we want to understand what is already there and what has been done, and then we can tap onto the things that work well for that context. But and it's always easiest to start from the strategic priorities and strategic capabilities. So trying to define them first, because then with those it's easier to give examples for the other practices, like let's say communities of practice. So if you define that for your organization, we want to have the best employee experience in this industry. So now we want to focus on ensuring that we have the best employee experience, so we can compete, we can get the experts that we need if we need to compete with others.
So starting with the strategic clarity.
Yeah, exactly. So then if that is clear, that you want to be the leader in employee experience, then you need to translate that into what are the skills that we need to develop to ensure we have the best employee experience, and then what are the best ways to learn that. So do we need our employees to go to courses on employee experience, or is that something where we already have two great experts in our organization? Can they teach others on that topic? Can we have a senior leader who is great at that topic? Can he coach these employees to make employee experience better? What else do we need? Do we need new systems, tools to support that? And then do we need to train people how to use those systems and tools?
That's a very logical approach to things.
Of course, you can start by implementing some new practices, like learning events or coaches or mentoring programs or things like this. They are great, and they can work well. But if you don't have that clarity, then it also might not succeed always.
And what are the common obstacles for organizations to transform, or in their path of transforming to a learning organization?
So I think, especially these days, resources are often what,
of course,
takes the focus away from that kind of development. So yeah, if you need to cut people in the organization, you might cut HR or learning and development, and then or knowledge management, and then
it's easily cutting from the future while it happens.
In some way, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe you replace it with more AI trainings, but then again, will that get you where you want to be? That's I'm not sure. So yeah, I think, like you said earlier, these are sometimes seen as the nice to have things, and not necessarily the must have things. So that's a challenge sometimes. Of course, these kind of changes can also be started by, and ideally it wouldn't be something that is specific to HR only, but it's a whole organization process. But often people who have HR expertise, they understand these things and know how to implement them. But sometimes there are people who are on the business side, and they see that this is something that is needed, and maybe they reach out to an external company to come and support them to develop these kind of structures, but it's just less likely to happen.
Yeah, and probably the resource allocation starts from kind of having the strategic clarity, and also having the logical approach from there on, recognizing what are the capabilities we need to actually get there where we want to go, and what are the people resources and people capabilities we need to achieve our long-term goals.
Exactly, so I wanted to get back to the point about resources, and that when people or when organizations are have less resources and they need to reduce people, then sometimes if they at this point reduce L&D employees or knowledge management or HR, when this is exactly the moment when that expertise would be needed in big transformations, big changes, and AI capabilities. So people who or experts who understand how we can support employees learn those skills, get the knowledge that they need, how we can ensure that if someone learns fast and starts doing something well, then that we transfer that knowledge to others in the organization. So those experts are needed right now. Maybe not in the same role that it used to be, for example, for learning and development. It's not about creating new e-learnings anymore, but it's facilitating that knowledge transfer and facilitating those spaces where people meet and they exchange knowledge, and they reflect, they discuss and learn together.
Yeah. So it's the key role for increasing the knowledge capital.
Yeah, exactly. And ensuring that, especially now, actually with AI, now the new topic that I hear being talked about is that experts are discussing with AI more than they are with other colleagues. So when people used to ask their colleague about something, now they ask AI. And they learn with AI, and they work with AI. So the knowledge doesn't necessarily transfer between teams or between individuals even. And then at some point you realize everyone has worked with AI, and then they have completely different understandings of things because it's their personal discussion with what they get out of AI. So
that's a very interesting observation.
Something kind of these dynamics that are changing, and so also there it's so important to ensure that knowledge is flowing, that we have those spaces where employees exchange what they are learning.
Yeah.
So maybe those are some of the challenges at this moment.
So can any organization transform into a learning one, or are there organizations that are not able to make the leap?
I think any organization should be able to. It's not rocket science. Of course, leadership has a really important role to play.
Yeah.
It's difficult to make big cultural changes without leadership buy-in and kind of leadership modeling. For example, how you even basic things like how you make time for learning, how you can even learn during work hours if it's related to your job. So you can model that as a leader. You can show that this is important for our organization. We ensure we make time for these important things, and then you convey that to your people managers, and then they model it to their teams. It's fine to spend this and this amount of time from your working week to explore new things, learn important things that we need to be learning about as an organization.
So the resource allocation, and of course also the strategic clarity that we were talking before.
Exactly, that they get that support. There's so much kind of uncertainty and indecisiveness in the world of work today, that it's important to have that kind of clear vision or clear priority, what to focus on. But I think even as a team, you can start doing this. I would say, yes, leadership buy-in is really, really important, but until you have that, if in some cases you cannot have that, you can still take steps as a team or as a unit or division, department, whatever. You can make that your own priority, and you can kind of start implementing those practices and ensure that it's working. And then maybe that can transfer to the rest of the organization at some point. So, and I would say one of the challenges is these days, so much change is happening. There are many organizations in big transformation, so they might not see this as a priority. But then again, even it is actually really difficult to make big changes if you don't have those knowledge and learning structures in place.
Change always requires learning.
Exactly. It's part of change management. So if you don't have that, it's not sustainable, and people don't understand what's happening, and they don't know what to do. And even in kind of big chaotic circumstances, I've seen how basic structures like communities of practice that I mentioned earlier, that can actually really help employees to focus their frustration and focus their kind of uncertainty on something nice, something that motivates them, a specific topic that they want to learn more about, that will build their skills, also keep them more employable.
So it helps to translate the uncertainty into capabilities.
Exactly, nicely said. And even kind of maintain belonging to something, so they belong to that community, even if they are not sure if they will be part of the organization for
building
long.
The meaning.
And maybe building networks inside the organization or outside, and having kind of building their expertise on a specific topic that they can showcase. So, for example, I was a manager of a knowledge management community. And it really built my own expertise on that topic. So then you get really comfortable in that, and then it really helps even in situations where there's a lot of difficult uncertainty. It's really not so difficult, and also it's not really expensive. Those are quite cost efficient means to implement learning in an organization. You don't need to. You can implement it with your existing platforms and tools that you already have. You don't necessarily need to buy something I don't know, costly AI tools or other licenses. It's just of course it will take some of the working hours of employees, but it's definitely worth it.
So it's where the impact can be found.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So what is the impact of AI in this, or how is AI changing how organizations learn?
There were a few things I mentioned earlier, like the fact that
we're discussing with AI and
that point that we're not necessarily so much interacting with each other anymore if we interact with AI. But also the positive thing that AI makes learning a lot faster in some cases. So when in the past if you wanted to understand a topic more, you might have needed a full university course on something, but now of course you don't get the same content from AI, but you get the basics and you get the basic understanding of something that was more difficult to retrieve in the past. I think AI already has in some cases a big impact on knowledge management in many ways. So if you have documented knowledge well in the past, now it can be much more easy to retrieve with AI. So if you have well-organized knowledge bases like an intranet where you have kind of up-to-date knowledge, then AI with AI you can really easily retrieve that.
So the accessibility of knowledge is way better nowadays.
And even making the tacit knowledge more explicit, so documented, that is also easier. So if you have Teams meetings where you discuss, then AI will take the notes and then summarizes the meeting minutes, which you can store in your database or intranet wherever it's relevant. And probably also AI is already making improvements in kind of updating the knowledge or databases that you have. So that will probably make kind of organizational learning easier now or later when it improves, when it starts detecting kind of issues more and more easily.
So that is a lot, and we probably can expect that in the future the organizational learning actually becomes a little easier as the documentation of learning and accessibility of knowledge is so much higher.
Yeah, if it is done properly and if it is well understood what the data is based on and that it is accurate information and not something that is not accurate. So of course there are a lot of risks in this as well.
Yeah, the quality of data matters.
Yeah. In terms of kind of really practical methods in learning, I think we might be seeing more and more like AI, some kind of AI companions that are replacing people who could have been your mentor or coach or person who onboards you, your onboarding buddy or something like this. There might be avatars who have that knowledge of the organization and who you can talk to and who gives you that information. But there also it's really important that the previous knowledge and experience that people had in their heads that has been documented. Because if it's not a person who onboards you, then at least it should have some of that person's knowledge. The important part.
So actually AI era is increasing the value of documentation quite a lot because even though the documented data has been valuable before as well, nowadays it's so much easier to use that information that documentation processes are becoming more and more valuable.
Absolutely. I think it has definitely been we may not have seen the value of documenting all meetings we have or all the knowledge we have, because we're not sure if that was ever going to be used. But now it's a lot easier to use. But then again, it's important to know the source, who said this and where does this come from, so that it cannot. It's important so that we know we can use it in the right context. Yeah.
So, Inkeri, with all these opportunities and also all the changes that are occurring, what do you feel, what should leaders focus on right now?
Easiest thing and the first thing is always to ensure the strategic priorities are clear to every employee, and ensure that it's translated to them. So how is it relevant for their own work and for their own skills development? So that then they can take the steps to build their skills towards those priorities. So I think that's the, well, not necessarily always the easy step. There are some processes that you need to define what the capabilities are, if you haven't already done that. If you have done that, that's great. So it's easy to start from there, discussing with the team leads, people managers. What does this mean to your team? Which of these priorities are relevant for your team, and then what skills are needed to get there, so that then team learning plans can be developed. It is very, very common that strategy is not something that a regular employee somewhere in the customer-facing position, that they really think about what is our strategy and what it means to me, though it would be so important. And also look ahead. That's also sometimes seems obvious, but thinking 5 to 10 years ahead. What should we prioritize now, so that then in 5 years we are still ahead of others?
So the clarity and long-term vision of the company or the organization.
And what does that mean for learning?
How does it translate to our capabilities? And what are the capabilities we need to build now?
Yeah, exactly. And maybe not to be too modest. Thinking that we talk about organizations like Netflix, but this is not like, our organization is a small public institution, and that's not relevant to us. Sometimes there might be this kind of thinking, but the idea is still the same, even for public institutions.
A strategic alignment always translates to efficiency also in the operational side. And the world changes fast, so we need to think how we can build on the core things that we are really good at, and think about how we can use that in 5 to 10 years time, and how we can enhance that aspect from our work. What is the knowledge that our employees who have been in this organization for 20 to 30 years, what is it that they know better than anyone else in Finland or other country? What is that specific technical expertise, and how can we use that to stay relevant in the future? Where are we best, and how do we translate it to value for others?
Yeah, exactly.
These are big questions we have been talking about today. Very, very challenging ones. But are there some very concrete small actions that anyone could start implement today? Inkeri, are there any very concrete things that any leader could start to implement today and take it as a takeaway from this discussion?
I think involving people from the organization, from different parts of the organization, to discuss what the strategic capabilities should be, and what should be prioritized for the coming years. 4 to 5 strategic capabilities that that we want to be great at, and that we want our employees to, all of them, to be aware of their importance and build their skills towards that. Also modeling the importance of learning in their organization. So
leading by example.
Yeah, exactly. Ensuring that learning is part of the strategy, kind of not as a separate HR process, but as part of the business objectives, the way to achieve them. That it's built there, and that it's specifically mentioned as a priority, that we want to be a learning organization. And from there, it's easier to also start building the infrastructure that supports it.
Yeah. So it starts with having an open dialogue about the future and the capabilities, and leading by example and building from there.
Yeah, that sounds like a good summary.
Super fascinating. Thank you, Inkeri.
Thank you. It was very nice to discuss these favorite topics.
It's super insightful.
Thank you.
Nice.